It's the first European midweek card in some time, though this will only include the EPL this week, and it did get started on Tuesday, but I'm going to start looking at some Wednesday and Thursday games in the EPL in Matchday 15. So regardless, we're going to add this to our weekly European soccer predictions that have so far this season been pretty hot. Last week in these parlays, they went 5-0, leaving us at 26-8 on the season when making European soccer picks from the top leagues. The EPL has been one of the higher scoring leagues this season, which hasn't not always been the case in this league. Right this season, we're seeing 3.43 goals per game. I see at least 4 games here on this card over Wednesday and Thursday that looked primed for goals. Let's start off with this first parlay, and it starts with Brighton and Brentford. Now, Brighton, they came out of the Europa League last week, and they went into Chelsea on the weekend, and they lost 3-2 despite being up a man for the second half. Now, that snapped a run of 7 games undefeated in all competitions. It didn't stop a run, though, of 18 straight games in the EPL where both teams have scored in their games. Brighton games are tied for the most over 2.5 games this season at 11-3. Their games average the highest goals per match in the EPL as well at 4.0. Brentford, meanwhile, they are just 9-5 to over 2.5 totals, and their games still, though, do average 2.9 goals per match. Brentford beat Luton 3-1 at home on the weekend, but they were shut out versus Arsenal and Liverpool prior to that, but those are some top teams in the league. Still, though, they've scored in 11 of 14 games this season, but they've also conceded in 11 of 14 games. Both teams to score is 8-6 for them on the season. They own the 5th highest XG in the league and the 4th most shots. However, Brighton, they have the 2nd most shots on target, so this looks like a game that could see some goals. Both teams are dealing with very lengthy injury and suspension lists, but they don't include the likes of Ferguson and Pedro for Brighton and Muyambo, Jensen, or Wissa for Brentford. All of those guys are among the top scorers for their respective teams. Now, when we last saw these teams play against each other last season, at this venue, it ended 3-3. This time, all I'm asking for is at least a 1-1, getting a goal from both teams. We'll go both teams to score with Brighton and Brentford to kick off this parlay. And let's pair it with another game that looks like it could definitely be the most exciting match of this round in midweek action, and it's Aston Villa and Man City. Villa games see the 2nd most goals per match at 3.8. Cities see the 3rd most at 3.7. Villa is 11-3 to over 2.5 totals this season, and City is 10-4. City, they've scored the most goals in the EPL with 36, with Villa right behind at 33. But Villa is the highest scoring team at home, which is where they'll be this season. They've scored this game. They've scored 23 goals in 6 games while conceding just 5. But you can never really count Man City out of scoring. They have 16 road goals this season, but they have conceded 9 goals in those 6 games. They also have only 3 clean sheets in their past 18 games, and that was home to Forest, away to Man U, and home to Young Boys in the Europa League. The goals have been going in fast and furious on both ends of the pitch for Man City lately, with scores of 3-3, 3-2, that was a win, 1-1, and 4-4 in their recent games. Away from home, City has just 1 clean sheet in their past 9 games, that being against Manchester United. Now, they'll be down Rodri in this game, and they've lost all 3 games without him so far this season. Villa in 22 games in all competitions this season, including the EPL, the Leagues Cup, and the Conference League. They've only failed to score twice, and both of those games came on the road. They'll be home here. Their recent score lines are 2-2, a 2-1 win, a 2-1 win, a 3-1 win, and another 2-1 win in all competitions. So you can see the goals are coming on both ends lately for them as well. Their last 5 head-to-head games when these teams have played, the scores have been 3-1, 1-1, 3-2, 2-1, 2-1, with City being undefeated in those games. But you can see Aston Villa has still been scoring goals, which is what we will try to get here. Let's go both teams to score again between these 2 teams. If you pair those both teams to score parlays together, you get plus 153 odds over at Caesars. Now, this next one is going to be spread over Wednesday and Thursday for parlay number 2, this midweek action in the EPL. Starting off with Man U and Chelsea. There's been very little between these teams of late. Man U did win 4-1 last year at this venue, but the previous games between them have been 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 0-0, and 0-0. Chelsea won on the weekend 3-2 at home to Brighton, despite being a man down for much of the game. And their games have been wide open in recent weeks. They lost 4-1, they drew 4-4, and they won 4-1 in their games prior to that. In their last 10 games in all competition, Chelsea have scored in 9, but they've also conceded in 7 of their past 8. Chelsea, they keep very few clean sheets with just 3 across their past 23 in the EPL if you go back into last season. And with Man U, you just never know what you're going to get. They're kind of all over the map this season in all competitions. They're 3-1-3 in their past 7. They beat Luton and Everton 1-0 and 3-0 in the EPL. Then they went and drew 3-3 in Turkey to Galatasaray. And then they lost on the weekend 1-0 in Newcastle. But they never even really looked much in that game, and the score could have been much worse than 1-0. The XG was 2.98 to 0.38 for Newcastle. The shots were 22-8, and the shots on target 4-1. Now, even at home at Old Trafford, Manchester United, they have just 1 clean sheet in their past 6 at home in the EPL, only shutting out Luton Town. They've been poor versus good teams this season. They've lost all 5 against teams in the top half. They've scored 2. They've scored and conceded 12. Chelsea, they are now a top half team, being 10th. They're 4th in XG. They're only behind Liverpool, Manchester City, and Newcastle. I think we can see at least a goal from each team here. Let's go both teams to score. And then we'll move over into Thursday and once again go both teams to score to make another 2-team parlay. And it's Tottenham and West Ham. Tottenham just drew 3-3 in an entertaining draw with Man City on the weekend. The result is good, but they're now winless in 4 after losing 2-1. 2-1 and 4-1 in their games prior. That now makes both teams to score in over 2.5, a perfect 5-0 in Tottenham games of late. Both teams to score on the season is 10-4 for Tottenham. They've scored in every single game, and they've also scored in each of their past 26 EPL games if you go back into last season. In all competition, West Ham, the Hammers, they've scored in 20 of 21 games this season in the EPL, Leagues Cup, and Europa League. If you only look at the EPL, they've scored in 13 of 14. Both teams to score is riding a perfect 4-0 run recently, and is also 12-2 on the season. Tottenham come in 3rd in shots on target, while West Ham have seen the 4th most shots allowed and 6th most shots on target allowed. The recent results between these teams have been 2-0, 1-1, 3-1, and 2-1. So we've seen goals between these teams when they play. In past season, we've seen both teams score in almost every game this season and concede in almost every game this season. If this doesn't look like a both teams to score, I'm not sure what doesn't. What does? Let's go both teams to score between Tottenham and West Ham to round out this parlay, coming in at plus 142. Those are my 2 best bets across these 4 games in the midweek EPL Matchday 15. Let me know what yours are in the comments. Give this video a like, and good luck with your EPL picks this week.